There's no doubt in my mind that the police dismissed Bill's death as an accident because he was gay. The police should be held accountable.
Hollenbeck units, any Hollenbeck unit unknown trouble, 600 North Mont.
Sydney back in the 85 to 95 period was a bloody dangerous spot if you happened to be a gay man. There are horror stories of men who'd gone to a police station to report being bashed, only to be taken to the cells and bashed for reporting a bashing. Police culture of that period stank.
This is the story of what may be Sydney's greatest unsolved and unacknowledged crime wave. More than 80 mysterious deaths from the 70s to 90s, described by some as gay hate murders, and a series of shocking police errors that have gone unreported until now.
Back in 1990, it was an investigation that was completely and utterly fouled up. The bloke running it, his view of the gay community was epitomised when he told a journalist that the victim was in fact, quote, a crazy little faggot.
Many of the deaths took place here along the coast of the eastern suburbs of Sydney. Several spots here were well known to police as gay beats, where men would meet for sex after dark. Ross Warren was 24. He vanished from a well-known gay beat in Tamarama in 1989. 31-year-old John Russell was found at the same gay beat, dead, at the base of a cliff in Bondi less than 4 months later. Sheil Mataney went missing from Bondi Headland in 1985. The coroner said he likely met the same fate as Ross Warren and John Russell.
Disgraceful, shameful and incompetent police work. So there was no vigour, no depth, no consistency, no application of investigative procedures that these coppers knew backwards. You've got to say that 30 odd years later there's a whiff of disinterest because they were gay.
Decades after mounting public pressure for answers, police have just reopened 88 cases like Warren, Russell and Mataney's to find out how many were gay hate crimes and whether or not a homophobic police culture may have hindered those investigations.
The night Bill was found, he expected him to be at home. When I got home, he wasn't. I sat down to watch the news and I saw Bill being removed from where he'd been found. I started to panic. You know, what do I do? What's going on here?
The case we're talking about is a matter of Bill Rooney. Bill went out one night in February. He was living in Wollongong with his partner at the time. Bill fell or was attacked.
Bill was found in a laneway here in Wollongong, about 90 kilometres south of Sydney. Barely conscious, in a pool of blood, he'd suffered massive fractures to his skull and severe bruising. Bill died 6 days later in hospital. Police said it was a drunken fall.
The nature of his injuries was such that I can't see how they could happen from an accident. His brain was almost dislocated. The damage that had been done to his skull would have taken a blow by a .3v2 to actually cause that amount of damage.
Within 4 or 5 weeks of that happening, a spate of horrific attacks on gay men, which may have been identical to how this poor fellow died, began around Wollongong. The similarity in the crimes is extraordinary. They're all usually under the influence of alcohol. They're attacked. Some of them are either threatened with or hit in the back of the head with a large object, usually a rock.
And one of those victims who survived told police his attacker said, "I'll kill you like I did the other poofter in the laneway."
The problem with the investigation into Bill Rooney's death was, at the very beginning, the forensics was screwed up.
The police didn't secure the site where Bill was found. A cleaner had gone in and had actually hosed the site out, so any evidence that may have been found was gone.
But they also didn't go back and examine what was left. These little tiny details that coppers should do. At some point in the investigation, they decided, well, who cares? He's dead. The crime scene's not much good. Why are we going to waste any time on this? And he's gay.
I honestly don't believe that the police investigated Bill's murder.
The coroner had no evidence to prove it was anything else other than an accident. One lone detective down there believed it was a murder and was told to put up or shut up.
30 years on, Bill Rooney's case is now one of the 88 being re-examined. But a criminologist inadvertently misspelled Bill's surname, and when the police couldn't find any record of him, they gave up looking.
The police thought this man's name was Rudney or something similar, and the fellow's name was actually Rooney because someone couldn't read their own handwriting. It's as simple as that.
Yep, a single slip of the pen, a simple spelling mistake, and police simply stopped looking. But all along, Rooney's death had been well documented in newspaper articles, an inquest, and even police records. But because they were looking for Rudney, Bill Rooney was written off until we found the error.
If Bill was a straight man, they would have pulled out all stops to try and find out what happened.
It is basic police work. Get something, test it till it's exhausted, and then it goes away. Don't just give up.
But they did. The police gave up. They did nothing more to investigate the so-called Rudney case.
Was the LGBTI community more persecuted and more marginalised in the 80s and 90s? My word, absolutely.
What part did the police force play in that?
Treating victims, I think, from the LGBTI community, possibly in a different fashion. But if we're being very honest and frank,
We are.
yes, there was homophobia in the New South Wales Police Force. Does that subsist today? Probably. Have we got a long way to go? Yes.
Superintendent Tony Crandell is leading the review of many of the unsolved gay hate cases. He didn't even know that Bill Rooney's name had been misspelled until we told him.
I certainly won't sit here and before you and defend an investigation if that investigation has not been done thoroughly.
Is there a sense that any of them already that you can identify will be reclassified as gay hate crimes?
If there's mistakes that have been made, then from right now, from this point in history, we can correct that. If we can't, then we need to acknowledge what's occurred and hopefully at least give some sense of satisfaction to the community that at least we've done what we can.
Losing a loved one is very difficult, but losing a loved one in such violent circumstances, you never get over it. Bill had a loving partner and loving friends. All of those men had loving partners, loving families, loving friends. The system has failed them. It's failed the people who died, but it's also failed the people who lived because it hasn't treated it seriously.